Welcome to episode 17 of the Online Health Business Podcast. Today we got a short one, short fire round. The question is the Afro Carribean diet actually healthy? And this is a good question, because obviously I'm Jamaican, you're Nigerian, yeah? So we're coming from two different places, but similar foods, yeah? And my mum, as a kid, yeah, she always used to say like the hard food is good food. That's what makes you strong. So like the yam, the dumpling, green banana, them kind of things there. She'll be like, the hard food is what makes you
strong. That was the same on our side though.
Yeah.
Eba, pounded jam. That's apparently what bulk. That's the bulk. That's the natural protein shake before protein shake.
But then we look at maybe people in our family or relatives.
Yeah.
Diabetes, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Overweight. Diabetes is a big thing in the black community. Yeah. So is it healthy? Yes or no?
No. For me, speaking from a Nigerian household, specifically to that, because different parts of Africa is very big. You know what I mean? And then same with the Caribbean, not as big at all, but it's still very different, So I think with Nigeria specifically, it's not actually healthy. And that's like just my overarching view on it.
Yeah.
There's some staples to it to where you can turn it around and make it healthy. In fact, let me just switch it. It's not really that it's not healthy. It depends on the cook and the chef. That's all it is. That's all it is,
All right, so let's go through some traditional dishes.
All right, cool.
I don't know too much. I've got Nigerian people in my family, but I actually don't know too much about Nigeria.
Wait, we need to go to Nigerian restaurants soon.
I've been. I went to the one in what's the one in Old Kent, on just off Old Kent?
805.
I don't even know.
Is it on the road, the main road?
On the main road.
805, yeah. I've never even been there.
I went there. It was nice.
It was good, yeah?
It was nice. It was sick still. Like, you know what's mad? Yeah, obviously my brother-in-law is Nigerian, so I grew up eating Nigerian food, because he'd cook all the time. But I just never I didn't know what I was eating as well. I'd just be like, yeah, just give it and be like, eat it. I'll just eat it. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So you're saying it depends on the cook?
Fully, 100%.
How so? Like what? Like,
because quite frankly, you can make Nigerian food using a lot of oil and things that contain MSG, which is in a lot of the seasonings of the Maggi and the cubes and all of that. I think MSG is one of the ones that has gotten a lot of bad research on it. And then oil, excess oil and obviously the wrong oil. I think olive oil's one of the best oils, right? Naturally. But yeah, like most people just chug down the oil into the food, man. Like
my brother-in-law used to have a lot of palm oil.
Palm oil, yeah, because that's made in Nigeria as well.
What do they use that for?
Like the soups and stuff like that.
Okay.
And yeah, like literally, there was times growing up, Mama, I love you. That like the stew, let's say we make stew, yeah?
Yeah.
And then there'll be a layer of oil on top. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, man, as I got into the fitness industry, I actually showed my mum a lot about it. I even bought one book that some lady made where she just cooked all Nigerian foods in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gave it and I sent it out to like all my cousins and all of that as well. Yeah. Naturally, a lot of oil.
Because I remember sometimes I'd go to my sister's house and there'd just be barrels of palm oil, bro.
Is it?
Bare palm oil. I'm like, bro, this is I didn't know what it was.
Because they make it in Nigeria. It's one of the few things that they make in Nigeria. So it's like I think maybe it's just the pride in them making it that it's in a lot of the foods. And just like, yeah.
But then like, this is a dilemma, I always think, because if we try to make our traditional foods healthy, it takes away from the flavors, bro.
No.
It takes away from the flavors.
I'm gonna disagree. And then on the Nigerian side, no.
Okay.
Nah. Because, and I want to know about the Jamaican side, but I don't actually think because oil doesn't have a taste. For me, some people say it does. I think sesame seed oil with the Chinese food that has a taste to it. But what we got to remember, and something that I learned, how true it is, I don't know, is that I was watching something and the guy was saying that when you crave certain foods that are bad, basically you have parasites within your body that have built up, essentially.
Parasites? You know what a parasite is?
Like a bug, like that's essentially, and essentially you just built, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but you've built up these bugs in your body and they are craving the bad food, not necessarily.
So you're speaking like metaphorically? Like literally, you can't be literal parasites because that wouldn't be.
Nah, yeah.
Must be talking metaphorically, like mentally or something.
Maybe it's not parasites I'm talking about, but essentially it's bad bacteria essentially that's craving more of that crap food, and you're just feeding into that. So even your taste buds, you notice that, like, have you ever cut anything out of your diet?
Like, just say, yeah, like
cut it
rice
down.
or pasta, yeah.
Yeah, and then
pork, I stopped eating pork.
So when you start eating pork, did you notice that, like, you're not like craving, dying for it or want it as much? When I remember when I used to eat pork and I used to eat bacon, and it was a crave, like, every now and again, I'm like, nah, like, I want that salty type of taste.
Yeah.
So
I've actually forgotten what it tastes like. I forgot
too, yeah. But I remember, like, the saltiness of pork and stuff.
Yeah.
About it being.
Now that you say it, I remember like bacon, fried bacon, eggs,
put it in
and sausages,
and
like, yeah.
I think that if you're without something long enough, then you won't even notice.
It goes away. Yeah.
I used to bang salt. That's a good example. When I was younger, on all chips, eggs, everything, bro, salt. And I hardly put salt in anything. Black pepper. But what about the Jamaican diet then? Talk to me.
So I think, the Jamaican diet is mad because just like with the oil thing, like my mum, she'll make like saltfish, ackee saltfish dumpling. And
fried.
Yeah, she'll just fry
the side of it.
Fry the ackee. Okay. Sometimes it's just, I'll be straining the oil before I eat it, bro. And like, as you get older, I'll tell her like, why you put so much oil in it? Obviously, me and my mum's got a mad relation in it, like, so I'll just tell her like, there's too much oil, I'm not gonna eat it, like. Yeah. But yeah, I think like the yam. Yeah. Obviously, in Jamaica, we don't really do the pounded yam thing, innit? We don't have pounded yam. It's just straight yam. Yeah. And Jamaicans love yam and green banana. Yam and green banana. It's a very carb. Yeah. Think about Jamaican, that's a very carb heavy diet.
That's what I think. I don't think Jamaican, I don't want to say it's unhealthy. I think excesses of oil and the wrong oil is unhealthy. So that element.
But it's very carb heavy. Carb heavy. Dumpling, fried dumpling. Yeah. Like festivals. Like the chicken side, the meat side is actually not bad because
not bad at all.
It's a lot of smoked meat. It's a lot of grilled meats.
Yeah.
So it's actually not that bad. The soups is not too much oil, but the carbs, I think that's why. So like, also I just come back from Jamaica, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
And the biggest thing I would say is like
patties,
but the men in Jamaica are slim and the women are fat.
Is it?
Like,
we're not judging.
Not all of them, but like
judging. Yeah.
Like, and I went to different places. Obviously, I was in the countryside. I went to Kingston for a little bit. I was in Montego Bay for a little bit. I was in Ochi for a little bit.
Yeah.
If there was one pattern, I would say is like the men are quite slim. Like compared to the West, like UK and US, like the men are very slim.
Why though? Why is this?
Labourers work, more natural foods, because obviously they're not eating as much processed food as we do over here or in America. Mm-hmm. So they're literally picking fruit off trees and eating, and the fish is natural, the meat is, they're killing the chicken, and
so they're getting more minerals actually because of the farming.
And so I think that, and then I think the labourers work as well, especially in the countryside. A lot of men are farmers, and they're a lot of construction men. They're just very active. Their bodies are built naturally from the work.
Yeah.
Whereas the women, obviously
traditional kind of,
they don't do it. Either they're staying at home looking after kids. They're not doing like laborious work. Yeah. Some do, like you get some female farmers and stuff like that. But generally speaking, it's not as much. So I just noticed that the women tend to be bigger. But then there's another thing as well in Jamaicans, they love big women anyway. So so it comes with it. But the food, it's just carb heavy, man. Like rice and peas, everything's just carbs. I think that's really, and it's interesting because obviously I get on a lot of calls with like Asian people too, right? Specifically Pakistani, Indian, and they'll say,
missed that out as
right?
Well,
and they'll say stuff like, like, oh, my biggest struggle is like, I still want to enjoy, my traditional food and lose weight.
Yeah, quite carby.
Yeah, and their food is carby as well.
Yeah, you got even like, because a lot of Asians they aim to lean towards like the vegetarian diet, because in like Hinduism or Sikhism, they try to promote that. And naturally we all know when you don't eat meat, then it cuts a lot of your protein option out, and you're going to eat a lot of carbs. I think that's what happens as well. I think overall, the diets of melanated people in general are generally, they're not coming from an unhealthy place, because think about it, think about the people who don't have food, like their food, the idea of a meal or whatever is something processed. Do you know what I mean? Or just more processed. So anything's better than that.
Like British people.
Not even just British people, because a lot of British people eat like, the culture naturally, shepherd's pie. No?
Yeah.
Shepherd's pie, fish and chips,
bangers and mash.
Bangers and mash. So it's still food.
Yeah.
Whereas a little bit processed, but still food. So anything that's home cooked is going to be better. And when you look at the root of what our meals are, like I said, plantain, rice, even our stews, although they have a lot of oil, the base is usually like vegetables, chicken, stuff like that. They are somewhat healthy meals. It's just how they cook it, I think.
And I think that one thing, and a big reason why a lot of our meals are carb heavy is because this is a historical thing, is that basically
Slavery.
It was cheaper. Slavery, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So it was cheaper and easier to produce in mass. So that's why they got good at making those dishes, maybe jollof rice, maybe rice and peas.
They had to get creative.
Whereas they were the expensive meats and stuff, they didn't have as much. So they were able to make good dishes out of very minimal things. So that's why it might be things that are grown, potatoes, yam, and they make a lot of dishes out of that. And then, so it's a historical thing, why it's carb heavy. And also if they're working the fields all day as slaves, especially in the Caribbean where sugar was the biggest export back then, the carbs is giving them the energy to get through the day. Boy.
I was going to say that, interesting fact I remember that I read is that, our gut microbiome is different, right? Our gut bacteria makeup is different in different parts of the world. So over in the East and those different places, they're more, their stomachs, they process carbs a lot better than the Western diet does. Do you know what I mean? So if you try to have like a high carb diet versus over here, it wouldn't hit for you. You just get obese, whereas they kind of process it better just into
they eat a lot of rice in those countries, China.
Blah,
blah, Thailand. Thailand, I went there, it's just rice. It's rice with everything.
They're all slim, innit?
And they're all slim, they're all slim. You also get some fat people, but they're all slim. So that must play a role. But then, all right, obviously, is Afro-Caribbean food healthy? I think it can be healthy.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I always say is you can make it healthy, not just by changing it, but your portion control. And that is where I think we go wrong, bro. Because you go to a barbecue with the family or like house party, family gathering, you're boxing off 3 plates, bro.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it all changes, man. It's the portion control.
Portion with it. Yeah, because you can have what you can have. I think the oil thing is a big one as well.
The oil thing is big, yeah.
Got to learn how to just make more meals with less oil. And it will save so much calories and also so much like cholesterol issues and stuff like that.
It's the blood pressure and the diabetes, man.
And then, sugar, and naturally in our foods is not as much. But obviously the carbs is the same thing essentially. So, yeah, man, I think we just got to learn our macros, people, man. And if you're a PT coach, teach your family about macros.
Teach them macros, man.
So we can change the world a little bit.
Because we can eat curry and we can have stew and as much as we want, but it's about portion control. That's what I say to any person when it comes to having traditional dishes. All right, so obviously this is a short one, but would you say that Afro-Caribbean diet is any more or less healthier than the British and American diet, the Western culture diet?
It's healthier.
You say it's healthier, yeah?
It's healthier. It's just how you do it. It's your own energy expenditure. And it's, that's that. Because like you said, in Jamaica, what they eating? They're having that diet. In Nigeria, what they eating? And when people are like literally stuck on those type of diets and they're eating that mainly, they're usually leaner, more muscle mass, from what I see. It's just when you mix it with the West, where you've got such an excess of it. Do you know what I mean? And you can have as much as you want, and then your energy expenditure is not great because you drive to work and all of these things, that's when like, you're putting on the weight and you don't walk. But boom, that's a quick fire round. If you like it, put it in the comments. Put your thoughts in the comments as well. What do you think? Is the Afro Caribbean diet healthy or not? Peace.
Peace.